All right, what's up, y'all? It's Jordan Jones back again for another episode of Talk That Sport. With me today again, CJ Jones. Say what's up, CJ.
That was my what's up. That was my salute to myself.
Yeah, you have to do a drinking salute. And then we have a very, very special guest. We have Kevin Hageland from 105.3 The Fan, the KNC masterpiece. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
10 to 2 every weekday. Make sure you tune in at Thank Kevin at KNC 1053 on Twitter.
Get all of them tags in.
Yeah, there you go.
All of them.
Hey, I just want to say, I am very excited that, first of all, you're our first guest on the show, so congratulations.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So that's rural air territory right there.
Yeah. So you'll always be remembered for being the first person to come on.
If there's ever a guest that's better than me, let me know. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to change that again.
Damn right.
Gotcha.
Better. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so many drops I've been ready to play all day. Let's do this shit.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so I want to say, because I'm a huge fan of the show. Like, I've listened to y'all since y'all were late night, and CJ kind of got me into y'all in the first place. I didn't listen to 105 The Fan for a long time until I realized they existed.
He was definitely an ESPN dude. He was definitely an ESPN dude.
Yeah.
I've been a Tolo for a long time. But see, since you moved midday, it's hard for me to get that show in because I wake up about 1 o'clock in the afternoon now. So hey, I work late nights now.
So late.
Nothing. Watching Netflix. It's a pandemic. I don't sleep. My schedule's thrown off right now.
I get
so
you.
I have nothing better to do.
See, for me, I listen to you more now that you're early in the day because I can listen to you at work. I used to listen to you in college driving home. Couldn't do that once I graduate and have a wife to come home to.
It's an interesting dynamic because there's several people who rock with us for a really long time, and I felt bad because they were like, when y'all change schedules, I couldn't really listen as much. And obviously, if I could throw just one more plug out there, radio.com, there. But I felt bad because I was like, I don't want to be leaving, but I also this is better for my life. So, and so that now we've got a whole bunch of new fans too. So it's kind of tough because you definitely we definitely lost some people who, maybe they work nights or whatever. And I totally appreciate that. And I hated leaving, but it was just something obviously we had to do.
So how you been liking the transition to daytime instead of nighttime?
So something about me is I really like proving people who say that I can't do something wrong. And so it's been really awesome because when we moved, people were like, well, this will never work in the daytime. And I was like, whatever, it'll work.
Yeah.
Fine. And so we've done really well. Ratings are really good, top rated show. And so I just kind of like showing those people. I was like, where were you? Where are the people from October? They're like, it'll never work. And I just hate that because and I know every person feels like this in their life. You don't like when you're dismissed or talked down to as if you don't know how to adapt. I was always mad about that. I was like, oh, what a foolish concept. I don't understand that some of the things, not all, but some of the things that play at night won't play during the day. That's just foolish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's the best thing I like about you guys. We've been transitioning. I've listened to a couple episodes throughout the day when I'm driving to pick up supplies and stuff like that. You guys still have kept the same sound, kept the same energy, even adding Mike to y'all staff. Mike, I didn't know when they told me Mike was on the show. How is that going to work? But it's been really funny. He blends in great with you guys when he's there. So I know he's liking it.
Personality-wise, we're all optimistic about that because we got along with him. I don't want to sound like, oh, it's a big kumbaya moment or anything like that. But
No.
I genuinely do get along with everybody that I work with. And so personally, we jive really well. And I was like, okay, well, that gives me optimism that this can work just fine.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah, no.
Has he got you? Oh, you good.
No, I was just gonna say, I was surprised. Okay, so I listened to the G-Bag Nation and everything, and so I'm used to hearing Mike Bassick and everything on the radio. And so I was interested to see how he was going to blend in with you guys because, from listening to y'all late night, y'all are very fun and very out there.
They're wild. There you go.
Yeah, radio.
Oh yeah.
So in general, just the transition to daytime and then transitioning at Mike Bassett, which one I didn't realize that he was this like he had like a wild side to him too, and I didn't realize that until he got onto your show because I feel like y'all have really kind of brought that out in him, like as far as on the radio goes.
Corey always says that he thinks we can find a way to bring people into our clubhouse or our universe or whatever. And like, you know, I mean, I'm sure you guys have found the same thing. Like I learned this a long time ago from our old programming director, Bruce Gilbert. You know, we talked about like, what is your goal in this show? He's like, your goal is not to win the show. The goal is for your show to win the show. And I was like, oh, that's deep. And so like, you know, you guys probably have a really great idea of what the other one excels at and what the other one is like maybe not the best at. And so that's the thing is like everybody on the show, I think right now does a really good job of knowing how to highlight the other one, where I walk out and like sometimes I lose an argument, but I was like, damn, that's a good segment, you know? And like that's the key is like, so I came out ahead. It doesn't matter if I win the argument. Like, this is not a debate competition. Like, I'm not going to be the champion of debates by having a crappy ratings, you know? Like, I want our ratings to be awesome because people are like, I like this show.
Yeah. I agree. So has Mike got you onto the cycle yet? Have you been riding the bicycles with Mike?
Man, okay. So the answer is kind of yes and no, because I have a bike, but when the pandemic hit and everything in March, I was like, man, I can't go to the gym. I really need to be working out and everything. And he goes, you need to get a Peloton. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, how much does a Peloton cost? He said it costs $2,000. And I was like, what? Nope.
They're not going to do it.
I bought a really nice Schwinn that was $500. It does the trick just fine. It doesn't have all its fancy doodads and whatnot that are the Peloton, but I was like, hey man, I just moved to midday. I don't have like that straight
midday money, Like you've been here.
Yeah. I mean, in a couple of years we might revisit, but for now, like my Schwinn that counts the basic things does just fine.
That's another thing I'm asking you. I know your weight loss journey has been really like big for you. I've convinced you on it. I'm trying to join you there. I was at 300. I'm at 256 now. So
holy crap, that's a lot, man.
Okay, it's a course of 4 years. But man, I had really bad. I had a really bad blood pressure situation. Almost had a stroke, and so I literally had to correct myself. I'm newly married, so I want to make sure. But commend you on that. How's your weight loss journey still been in the quarantine? Are you still been able to?
Yeah,
keep your progress going?
I'm not in as good shape as I think I was at the start of the quarantine, but you know, I don't feel like I've just fallen off. I'm still working out and still having my days. I just think like there's been a couple of times when it's lended itself towards maybe some more junk eating a little bit. So, you know, like I'm not the way I always view it, and the way I was just talking to my wife about this is like, when the world is open, you go to a restaurant and they're like, here's how much food you should eat. And then like when I go home, I'm like, oh, I have all the food here. Like whatever I want. I feel like that's gotten me into a little bit of trouble, but I feel good. And like obviously I feel much better than I did a few years ago.
That's good, man. You look good. You really like it. I'm in the same boat with you. Like my nieces and nephews just spent like the last 2 months at my house. So me and my wife normally don't keep snacks, but the like toaster strudels and the chip bags, I find myself eating 2 bags of kettle chips in the middle of the night. I'm like, I shouldn't do that.
And this might not work for some of that stuff because that's like pantry stuff, but something that really was awesome is, so we bought a house and they were like, hey, do you want this refrigerator that's just already here? And I was like, I mean, sure. Like, I'm not going to say no to that. That fridge looks really nice. So we kept the nicer looking fridge in the house and then put my old fridge in the garage. And I know that that's where they put some of the food that like is not good for me and stuff. And I just don't ever look in that fridge and just like, I could not tell you what's in there, but because I just don't ever look in it, and that's worked out okay for me. So if there's a way to develop like a secret pantry in your house, then that might not be a bad idea.
I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm trying to get the Jordan size right there. My little brother.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Yeah, he has a lot of work to do to get there.
Wow.
No, okay. So if you can't tell, we're brothers. But
we're actual blood.
Actual blood brothers. Yeah. Yeah, so CJ has always been one of our, like, me and him have normally been fairly skinny in general. And then about 3 years ago, CJ just gained a lot of weight. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, like, no, it was a lot.
He set him back.
Oh my God. Here we go. I knew this was going to happen, all right? So we've talked to Troy, and I've had to, like, no, this is not a stupid hat. This is a hat that God gave me. I love it. I love the university. Can always support them unless they do something stupid.
Yeah. Rocking those glasses and that hat like you're a KD starter kid. Like I'm not gonna say something about it. Whatever.
I knew it was. Okay, so I was gonna come in full garb. I had like a little quarter zip too, but it was too hot in here today to do that.
Yeah.
But no.
It was intentional. It was
definitely intentional. Jordan knows it. We interviewed Amani Watts on an old show we used to be on. And we had him on our old podcast, and we talked about it. He's like, man, you wearing that Longhorn stuff. And then we did Troy on that same one a couple months ago on that same podcast we experimented with. So
I'm fine with it. Just don't expect me to not say anything.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to say stuff about underachieving schools too. So.
Yeah. Honestly, you had a better reaction than Troy. Troy Hughes did not take it too kindly that CJ was wearing a Longhorn shirt.
Well, the thing about it is I don't like it, but I've been worn down over the years because my son, who's a sophomore in high school, 100% wants to go to the University of Texas. So I've been it's really worn me down over the years.
Hey, but I'm at a point where I may have to switch allegiances. My wife may go to law school at Texas A&M.
Let's go.
So I've said this. If she gets into law school at A&M, since I got to pay the money, I will literally change my allegiances to them. So in a couple years, I may be an A&M fan. So I don't know how I feel about that.
Smart.
Yeah,
I grew up watching Texas. I was a huge Longhorn fan.
Now he's a fucking Bama dude.
I'm a Bama. I went to UNT, so UNT has no chance.
Corey.
Yeah. So no chance of actually making it big time in any playoff appearances. And I'm just a Nick Saban guy, so I root for Bama now when it comes to like the big stage of college football. But I wanted to take some time to talk about, how's your quarantine going? I guess we're not really quarantining too much anymore, but still a different lifestyle right now than we're used to.
And I just want to point out, so I have this on record, I just 100% declined a phone call from Mike Bassick. So,
oh my God.
So, we were just talking before we went on. I feel really bad because people have been like, oh, 2020 is the worst. And like, don't get me wrong, I 100% get like the people who feel that way. 2020 has been an outstanding year in the history of my life. So in January, I bought a house. I also got engaged and now am married.
Congratulations.
So, like 2020 has been awesome for me. So I feel really bad. And like, I understand why people are struggling financially, obviously emotionally, and there's a variety of things out there. And I know, WNBA, by the way, they just canceled their games too.
They did?
Yep. I know there's a whole bunch of reasons for people to be hurting right now, and I almost feel guilty. And like, there's been a lot of cool personal moments for me, and so this year has been really great. And so I get really conflicted about like, I want to celebrate, but you don't want to celebrate too hard when like a lot of people are hurting for a lot of various reasons.
Yeah,
we definitely feel you. Like we've had the same type of thing. We've had like, we're in our first year of marriage, so like that's happened in 2020. Somebody expect to have a baby. I mean, hopefully somebody gets pregnant in 2020. So like, Lexi, get pregnant.
No. Unless you want to.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Me and my wife, we were trying to, but so we get we found so many things to celebrate for. It's like, dang, but it's 2020, so it's like it's been one depressing thing after another thing. But I feel like we've had a lot of good different things happening, like you that keep us on a positive note for it.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely concerned for January because I think everyone thinks that once it's New Year's Day, everything is going to be fixed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you're still going to have a bunch of pissed off people. I mean, like after the election, one way or another, you're going to have a bunch of pissed off people.
Yeah.
Then inauguration in January, more pissed off people. I don't think everything's just going to magically open like that. You're going to have a bunch of pissed off people. Like, I get that people are saying 2020 sucks, but like I don't know if it's totally going to go away the way everybody does.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, and I know that you've been kind of a champion for mental health and and you're very open about talking about your own mental health and everything that you've experienced. And I think that's amazing because if you a little background on me, so I actually went to school for psychology, and I'm pretty much. I always say that I'm pretty much a marriage and family therapist because I literally have like one class left, and so
you'll be a therapist.
Yeah, it counts. You're good.
Yeah, I'm pretty much there. So it's very passionate. I'm very passionate about it, and so I just really wanted to know kind of like. What have you been talking to other people about it? How have you personally, I know you've had a really good year, but being in isolation and things like that, how has that affected you?
Yeah, believe it or not, like that part hasn't affected me as much as it started to kind of affect the new wife. Like I always joke, there could be like some sort of nuclear apocalypse and I could be alone for 1,000 years and I think I would be fine. But she likes to see people. And so, and she's really close with her family. I mean, like really close. And so not being able to see them with the same frequency, I know is starting to take a toll. So we actually opened it up a little bit in terms of like some of the people that we saw because it would be good for her. And you could tell that that's what they needed. And like, I'm not trying to run afoul of anybody who thinks like people that you don't live with or whatever. I'm just saying like, that was what she needed. And like, I'm here to, for better or worse, I'm here to help provide what she needs. And so we definitely opened it up. And then for me, one of the really great things is, and I will not give my phone number out here, but if you just hit me up on social media, I mean, you already heard me plug that. Oh, thank you, Kevin. If you hit me up on social media and you're like, man, I need someone to talk to, like, I feel like I don't have anybody to talk to, I will 100% give you my phone number there and we can just chat. And I've done the same thing on the show a couple times. And I know people think I'm full of crap, but I was like, do it. And like a couple people text me and they're like, is this really your phone number? And I'm like, yes, it is really my phone number. Like,
I really care.
I don't know what kind of time they think I have in my hands that I'm running like these multi-tiered master plans to break people with mental health down.
Yeah.
But like, because that's the way I remember is, like I remember when I was in 7th grade, I had to go to the doctor and I was like, I don't understand. I just went to the doctor and my mom was like, well, this is a different kind of doctor. It's a talking doctor. And still to this day, I refer to it as the talking doctor. And so I was like, I don't understand. And, because I was, 11 or 12 or probably 12. And so I just didn't understand. And I didn't want anybody to know about it or anything like that. And then like the further you get on, the older I get, the further we progress. It's like you see how many people, struggle with this. And I remember last year, Kevin Love was stepping out talking about it. And you just had Paul George, I think just last night or a couple of days ago. He was talking about it too. And like, it just feels super important to get like mainstream acceptance because, the example that they always use is when you break your leg, you have a cast on and everyone can see what's wrong with you. But like when you have, like for me, is depression and OCD. And when you're suffering from that, like I can hide it and nobody can see, what is hurting. And I was like, there's probably a lot of people out there. And it's been really cool to see all of the people out there that want to talk. I mean, it's not cool in terms of like, you don't want them to be hurting, but it's just cool in terms of like, they feel comfortable talking with me. And I've had a lot of like really like honestly meaningful conversations that helped me like a ton, you know, because I have crap days just like everybody else. And sometimes you feel like, you know what, I had a crap day, but I might have helped that person. And like, it's hard not to feel like it was a good day then, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally get you. Like I had experienced the same thing, like depression, anxiety, and just tons of things like that. And we come from a family there where one of our sides of our family is really open, and the other side of the family is really closed off and won't like say nothing. And so our mother was very instrumental in making sure, like, hey, y'all talk about all your feelings. And as we got older, me and Jordan, we'll call each other. We're having a bad day or something like that. We'll bounce stuff off each other, but we also want to make sure we keep ourselves open. And for like a lot of the stars like Kevin Love and Paul George, especially people, DeMar DeRozan, people come out to start saying things. People like you and Jeff to say like these are things that we deal with, and it's okay to talk to somebody. It doesn't make you less of a person, or doesn't make you less of a man. Just kind of like make sure you mental health is a good thing. Like it's health. So
Jeff is awesome about that too. He's really engaging.
I've had not a mental breakdown, but I've had like a day where I was like really. The message is still in my phone, like where I messaged him on Twitter. It's like, Jeff, I'm just really having a bad time. He shot me a message, said everything's gonna be good. It's like, if you need to talk to me, talking about this, and I keep it there. Like so, like he's not bullshitting about it either. He's kind of like, hey, I'm gonna talk about it and be about it. So I do like seeing stuff you post and he posts about it. So that for me is a big thing.
Definitely. And I think it's very important that, you know, people understand how little things, you know, just like, you know, listen to a sports radio or, you know, hearing other athletes, things like that, talk about mental health in their life, like, and how they are dealing with it, it normalizes it some more. And I think that we really need that because there is still a huge stigma on it. Like I work in a university with a lot of students and they're so worried and so overwhelmed with things and they just do not want to talk about it. So I think that it's really big that y'all are able to have those conversations.
And if I could throw some of that love back the other way too, because like, man, and I appreciate it every single time when people are like, you don't understand how much this means to me. Like that is awesome. I like so many people will text in and share aspects of their life that like some people think like you don't care or like you don't. People will text in and they'll be like, I know it probably doesn't matter to you, but I just want to let you know like you got me through this or that. But I care 100% of the time. Yeah. I got through my dad dying last year because of the show. Like I went to work the day my dad died because I needed somewhere to be, and I was there the rest of the week because like all I was doing during the day, and this was when we're still on at night, all I was doing during the day is like, you have to call this person, you have to call this person. Like I had no idea what a business death was, and like it makes sense now, but like all I was doing all day, call this person. I was like, I don't want to just be alone and just be thinking about this. And so like work and the Tolos, and they got me through it. Like that Friday, my dad died on a Tuesday. That Friday, they just gave me an open segment to just kind of talk about it. Cause you know, my relationship with my dad was not always really good. And it was like so cathartic because it was the first time I had talked to somebody who wasn't my mom or sister about it. And you're talking to how many of her people, and then they're showing you all the support. So I'm like, man, you guys were there when I needed you, and I want to be there when y'all feel like you need somebody.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And while we're on the topic of, you know, just mental health in general and just how you use your platform to, you know, speak about the things that are important to you and connect with the people, you know, that support you and how you support them back. I think that it's very important that we talk about, you know, what's going on in the bubble right now. You know, that all the games were postponed at this point. It started out with the Bucks boycotting the game earlier today. And after talking with league officials, they decided to completely just postpone the games for now. They haven't set a time for when they're going to be playing again. We don't know if they're going to be games tomorrow. But I think that it's very interesting, you know, especially with what's going on with the shooting over there. And I do not know how to say it.
Kenosha. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. And I mean, there's been riots going on and everything, but really just talking about, the athletes using their platform, a lot of people, you've heard it on Fox News, shut up and dribble. You heard, people saying that, I come to you to talk sports. And one thing I want to give y'all a special shout out. Thank y'all so much for talking about these topics on your show. I think that it's important that y'all use, the platform that you have, because y'all are more than just, sports talk people. Y'all are actually human beings that live in this society, and y'all deal with these issues on a daily basis. And I think people forget that. So I want to let you know that people that listen to you appreciate the fact that y'all talk about that.
And the one thing I will say, because the thing that irritates me, that the people text in even more than their opinions, because there's a lot of things that people text in about well, how come blah blah blah, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not worried about what you think. Is people are like, sports or must be a slow day, why don't you talk about sports? And this is what I say every single time. The launching point for every single one of these segments is sports. I'm not going to tell people all my political opinions unless I get a political podcast. Then if you tune in, well, you could suck it if you don't like my political podcast. But otherwise, if you're tuning into the sports show, these always springboard off of that. Tomorrow, they postponed all the NBA games. Who the hell knows? Maybe tomorrow morning, the NBA season will be canceled. I don't know. They're having a meeting at 7:00, and Commissioner Silver said every player's invited. Kyrie might be like, I told y'all, and everyone's like, you know what? Let's shut it down.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know, but it always springs out of sports. And so I hate the idea of why don't you talk about sports? This is about sports, because those athletes are people too. And look, and this is where, and we were talking about this before the show, this is where I hate that you can only be one thing and not the other. Okay, so check it out. LeBron tweeted out, an hour or so ago, we're sick of it and we want to change. All right, you are allowed to respect and agree with that opinion while also not loving his thoughts on China. Because that's me.
Yeah.
I do not care for what LeBron said about China when he was like, y'all just don't understand. I was like, maybe you don't understand. I understand just fine what's happening in China. Terrible human rights record and all this. So I don't really need to be condescended to, right?
Yeah.
But you can disagree with LeBron's stance on China, but yes, agree with his thoughts about police reformation and social justice issues, especially when it comes to race. You're allowed to feel two different things. You're also allowed to say, man, I do not like it when somebody gets shot by the cops. That does not mean that you're I don't like the cops. They can be two different things. Those can be two different things. I just hate that, okay, let's just take Jacob Blake, for example. The thing that I already, oh my God, is already there that I hate so much is people are see, every cop is out to kill black people. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's not the case. Maybe some of them are. Maybe some of them are just garbage human beings who have racial hatred in their heart. It doesn't have to just be this one thing. And then other people are also oh, look at that. He was a criminal, and I think there was an outstanding warrant for him that he broke into his ex-girlfriend's house. And okay, fine. Does that mean that he was the world's greatest person? It doesn't have to mean that, but it also doesn't mean that you have to be well, he got shot 7 times because he might have broken into someone's house. What kind of sense does that make? You're allowed to have multi-tiered opinions, and that's the thing is I just appreciate that we're talking about it right now, because I'm not saying us three are gonna oh, we solved racism and all the social problems, but what if we have totally different opinions and you guys tell me what you think and I get it a little bit more, and I tell you what I think and you get it a little bit more. And if more people had conversations like this instead of just oh, you're ignorant or you're this or you're that. I kind of wonder if we would make progress. Personally, I like talking with people that I disagree with because I like to hear more about their point of view.
Yeah. And I could. Jordan knows my record. I like talking with people I disagree with most of the time. It just
fair. Most of the time.
Because I get trolls a lot that I deal with, and it's a little bit different. And I take stuff like this seriously. Like, this is not a joking conversation. So, like, you'll have people that make the jokes about, well, this happens in Chicago and this happens here. I'm like, well, this happens in Mansfield, Texas. Like, it means you can go to any neighborhood and figure this out. So I'm like, for me,
You just mentioned a city. Like, most of my family, especially on my mom's side, is from Chicago. And like, again, perhaps you could take a multi-positional stance right there. You can't, like, that's the thing that I hate is like, you can say, I don't like that people are getting killed in Chicago, while also saying, I don't like it when black people get killed by police. Exactly. You don't have to pick. Like, I feel really bad. I can't remember the kid's name, but the 5 or 6 year old white kid.
Oh, I know.
I know.
I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name at the moment. But people will text in and they're like, why don't you say that kid's name? And I was like, because that has nothing to do with like what we're talking about in the moment. But you are allowed to say that, like, oh man, it sucks that that kid got killed and that is not right. But you are also allowed to say, it sucks that that guy got shot 7 times in the back and he's going to be paralyzed for good. Like, you don't have to pick one or the other. And that's what really, man, quite frankly, pisses me off. And it really bothers me.
Yeah, I hate that I feel, me personally, this is me and Jordan talked about earlier this week, there's like everything's like a team thing. Like, you're rooting for this one group and we're rooting against this group. Not just black and white. It's just like, any issues, like I'm pro LeBron, I'm against LeBron. You can't have that middle ground. Like, I'm very middleist on a lot of things. I really want to make sure I hear both sides and then make a decision from there. So that's the only thing I see is just like, I'm tired of seeing this part in our culture. And so we like to have these actual conversations with people, especially when we talk to people on shows, we talk to people, friends, family, kind of make sure we are an open forum.
Well, and you look at, like, with even today, I've already saw it on Twitter, like, looking, because I like to go into people's comments because I just like to see what's out there and what people say.
It's the best part of Twitter.
Yeah, I don't respond because I don't like getting into fights on Twitter because people are dumb. And so, but I like seeing it. And I've already seen, like you were saying about what about the kid who got shot? Why weren't you outraged then? Well, there's a difference. Okay, the guy's already been arrested. He's, already been charged. Like, there's nothing like that we need to do as far as that. It was a bad situation that should not have happened. And I feel very bad for that kid and that family that's having to deal with that, because that's horrible. But like, this is like, when you look at the things that happen with like George Floyd or Breonna Taylor, or even, with Jacob Blake, like, these are things that we're still trying to work on. These are things that actively happen consistently, and they're issues. And then, I hate when people throw up statistics like, what about black on black crime? And, white people are more likely to be killed by cops and stuff. I was like, but you have to look at it within the context and how that affects. Like, there's a lot of numbers to go. I got my degree in psychology. I know how statistics work, and you can shape them the way you want them to work for your favor.
Man, but like, seriously, okay, like, just go with me for just 1 second, if you will. Okay, fine. Let's just even concede that first point. Fine. If you want to say, oh, there's more black on black crime than there is anything else. And like, what is your point of that? So because some black people commit crime against other black people, all crime should be allowed again? Like, that's the part of the argument that I never understand. Like, that justification makes no sense to me. Just like, and we were talking about it with people brought up Blake's criminal record or George Floyd and any of the past problems that he had. I'm like, okay, so have you never heard of the imperfect messenger? Like, just because the person wasn't perfect doesn't mean you have to try to justify what happened to him. Like, you don't have to justify it. And like, again, I'm totally with you about statistics can be twisted to mean whatever you want them to mean. But let's just say you want to concede that point. Okay, sometimes black people commit crime against other black people. And your point is that means it should be the purge? Like, I don't understand that point. Like, you can say, hey, I wish that this sector of crime was lower, while also saying, man, that guy getting shot in the back by the cops is messed up. Like, you are allowed to hold both opinions.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine. That's why I think people are just scared to like have that same thing. I can say this, but I can say this because I may lose a friend on this side. And that's I have a friend like that. It's like, I wish I could tell my friends like this. I'm like, you can't just say it. Like, just say it.
And you might discover that we shouldn't talk about these things anymore. And decide we don't want to be friends.
Yeah. You may not be a good friend to have around.
Yeah. Maybe we'll just talk about movies from now on.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's get into some training camp, all right?
Wait. I want to talk Mavericks basketball for a second. Okay, let's talk Mavericks basketball for a second.
Whoa.
You can't take no transitions.
So I've listened to your show over the past week, and I know you were a little skeptic. Everybody in general was skeptic about the Mavericks.
Yes.
Yeah, but I know you were even more skeptic when the Mavericks started winning some games in the series, and they're still not going to actually do anything in the playoffs, which I deep down in my heart know that. But how could you not get excited over that, buzzer beater 3 that Luka shot on Sunday?
No. Don't get me wrong. I was very excited. And we got into an argument today about if Kristaps sits out tomorrow or whenever, if Luka should sit out. I was like, are you friggin' insane? It's 3-2. It's not 3-0. Like, you can win these next 2 games.
Yeah.
I think they will win these next 2 games. Not really, but it's just 2 games. You could totally win. And I'm telling you, man, the thing that I wanted to happen, that buzzer beater might have accomplished it. What I was originally what I was hoping is you'd get let's say the 6th seed and you would have a matchup against the Nuggets and you could have maybe picked them off, as we're seeing might happen right now. Yeah. And then you give the Lakers all they can handle in the second round. Then the entire NBA world would want to come to Dallas because of Luka. And so that's why, me personally, I friggin' loved Game 4 because I think people saw him just drop it on the table and be like, holy crap, we need to get to Dallas post haste. And that is what I was hoping for. Corey jokes, oh, you don't want them to win the championship? And I was like, okay, sure. I'll take that first. But secondly, I want us to turn all of the heads and be like, we need to get to Dallas now. And I feel like that's happening.
Yeah. I can't remember if it was Corey or RJ that said it, but it was talking about, the Mavericks and already planning for us to be in the conference finals.
That was Corey.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Corey, let me just guess. Corey has his money on the Mavericks making it to the conference finals.
Dude, Bassett lost his mind when he was like, you already got us in the damn conference finals. And it was so funny yesterday.
Yeah. So if you should listen to our show last week because I called the Mavs. I said if they would win this series, which I said that they would win this series. That was before I knew that Kristaps had an injury, though. But I said the Mavs would win the series and that they would make it to the conference finals because I didn't trust the teams coming out of the Nuggets and the Jazz game. Yeah, I think they had a very good shot, especially if they beat the Clippers. And honestly, I'm looking at it, and although at this point now, I'm looking at it, it's all going to depend on if they play tomorrow. And if they play tomorrow, I'm very much so hoping that, we see a huge game and a lot of fight out of Luka and everybody else who comes out there. But I don't really expect us to win the series anymore. I think the best chance is to get it to 7. And if we can get it to 7, I think that's some huge confidence going into next year. And that's really what I'm looking forward to now. But shoot, if they pull a game out tomorrow and pull out another game on Saturday, maybe we have something, cooking here in Dallas already where we can be actually making it to the finals or the conference finals and maybe even the NBA finals.
Man, I mean, if you beat the betting favorites, then the sky's the limit. And I said, Clips in 5, and each successive game you win after that becomes bigger and bigger, right? You won that second game. That is huge. If you win tomorrow night and push it to 7, oh my goodness, that is monumental. And if you win game 7, you just knocked off what a lot of people thought
the NBA favorites
going to win the NBA finals. And then that is just earth-shattering, paradigm-shifting in the NBA. And so, look, I'm still hopeful. Last night's game obviously made me really sad. But I am still hopeful. And what I would really love is for KP to play, even though Carlisle says he's less than optimistic. I would love for KP to have a huge game and then win because then you can look at it again and be like, it's not all Luka. And I think that would be even better for this team going forward.
So,
go ahead.
I really forgot my question.
Okay. It's all good. What I was going to ask is I wanted to know what you thought just in general about the KP injury and everything that's going on there. Do you think that this is something to be worried about long term?
Okay. So have you ever heard my description of Yu Darvish?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So for people watching, I think Yu Darvish is like, a Ferrari or whatever your sports car of choice is. It's awesome, but everything has to be perfect. There can be no wind, no rain, no anything. So when he takes it out of the garage, everything has to be perfect. And that was when I soured on Yu Darvish, is because I clipped my fingernail or whatever, I'm out for the next 2 starts. I don't want that to be the narrative on KP, and you're hearing a lot of people say 100%. I stubbed my toe, I'm out 6 games. And the thing is, the Mavericks are, oh my God, Mavericks are screwing him over so hard on this. Like before game 4, he had the MRI, and Carlisle said the MRI is clean. Oh. And then they said he's out with knee soreness. And at the same time, you saw Luka's ankle get freaking wrecked in game 3. Bam. He's back out there in game 4. And that makes Kristaps look soft. And I think that the Mavericks, they would just come out and say, look, there are some structural challenges from that MRI. While theoretically it's not hurt, we think he could wreck it for the next season if he plays. Yeah. That's great. Or you can say, Kristaps has been begging us for the last 24 hours to play. That would also be great. Instead, they're like, well, we'll see.
He's game time decision.
Yeah, that makes him look like he can't handle the pain. And I'm not saying he can't. I don't know what his scan looked like. I just know the team told me it came back clean and he's sore. And I'm like, cool. Everybody in the playoffs is sore. Get your ass out on the court and play. But that's because of the Mavericks message, which has been awful on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're normally good at this PR thing. We're normally really good at this.
Yeah. I don't know what we're doing.
And I'm not going to be one of the people. I'm not out on KP in general as our number 2 guy.
I'm not either.
Yeah, because I think that honestly, looking back at the season, Kristaps has been pretty healthy this year. Like a lot of times that he set out were because the team wanted him to rest, like on back-to-backs or nights where they were a little bit concerned. Like he had that one injury to his knee earlier.
Missed 10 games.
Even that was more precaution than anything. I don't as far as I know, it wasn't really anything serious. They just didn't want to risk anything. So I think for the most part, Kristaps has been very healthy this year. So I do think that this is more of like a long-term, hey, this guy, we've paid him a lot of money. We don't want to risk it if there's something he may be a little bit hurt, but it's not like anything major. I get it.
65 games a year out of him and a pretty much full playoffs. I'll take that as a win every single time. And you brought up a great point. This is year 1 of the 5-year max deal. And I mean, even Bassick, who's the maddest about it, probably of any human in the universe, he's like, I'll wait till next year. And if you see this pop up again, then next year, well, then obviously you got to make some tough decisions. But I would love to see him play tomorrow night and play great and for them to win. I think that would be the best of all conceivable worlds, and then let game 7 fall how it may.
Yeah. I was just going to say that. And for me, the only hesitance I have to all of this is just with Luka still rolling out there, after knowing that he got hurt in the middle of a game. And I get it. You don't want to take out both of your stars and just roll out, Seth Curry and the guys and see how they play. But at the same time, it makes me wonder, because I know that Luka probably went to Rick Carlisle and said, I'm playing no matter what. It doesn't matter. I'm very confident that that's what he did. So so what makes me wonder is why doesn't KP have that same mentality?
You're looking at 2 different dudes.
Yeah,
that's just 2 different dudes. Like Luka, but KP is a student of basketball and stuff like that. KP's also 23. He's been playing basketball longer than Luka. All right, and KP knows his body. He said he had a lot of knee soreness last time before he tore his ACL in New York, and New York staff didn't listen to him. So he's probably being a little extra precautious with it, making sure nothing happens to his knee. But Luka's one of those. Luka's 21 years old. He doesn't care about it. He's like, I can recover fast. And his ankle. So we're like, he can play on it. He can walk, he can play. So I don't think KP has that same confidence in his knees or his body yet, because it's betrayed him before. So that means. So I remember my question now. It's going backwards, but here it goes. How do you feel about the Clippers hooping and hollering after beating the undermanned Dallas Mavericks team last night with a hurt Luka? All that. First of all, I love teams like that. Not saying that I hate what they were doing. It's fun. It's an AAU atmosphere. But it was like they were thinking they were beating the Lakers. You would think they were taking out a number 1 seed last night.
Yeah, I think they might have celebrated like that because they were like, "Oh, dip, this series is gonna be a lot harder than we thought," you know. And they were obviously a second away from being up 3-1 and probably closing it out last night. And so, I mean, I don't like it just because, like, right now I hate the Clippers, and I'm glad Paul George is fixing up his life, but I hope he plays very poor basketball for 2 more games. So, like, I don't love it, but I also, you know what, the LA Clippers have never made it to a conference final.
Ever.
Like, I know they've built up their version of their super team, but like they've never done anything. And so if they want to celebrate, like, I'm okay with it. I really am. But I'm all about the fun in sports. When people ripped on Tatis last week for swinging at the 3-0 pitch, I was like, you need to pitch better then.
That was exactly my rant last week. I love that. Make baseball fun again. All right.
Yes.
Make baseball fun again. That's all I care about. So, were you upset this year? Did Johnny get to go to training camp out in Oxnard?
Yeah.
Like, you moved the midday and then pandemic.
We had been twice before, and
we can remember. Yeah, there we go.
It was. Yeah, we've been twice before, and this was kind of before, like, obviously the Rangers created a little bit more conflict with us being on at night and having wonky show hours and everything like that. But we had been twice before, and it was really great. It's also one of my favorite memories ever is it was the joint practice with the Raiders, and I saw 2 things. That's where I learned that Khalil Mack was going to come in and whoop everyone's ass in the NFL. Because he was doing one-on-one drills with Tyron, and this is when, like, peak Tyron, and he blew right past him before he started his rookie year. I was like, oh crap, did you see that? And then Tyron slammed his fist on the ground, and he has the biggest hands of any human I've ever met, and he goes, run it again, and he put Khalil Mack on his ass. I was like, oh my god. And it was it was a Haas battle right there, and it was awesome. And so I was like, oh man, Khalil Mack's going to be dope. And then the other thing was we got to do a wireless segment where I walked around talking to Raiders fans. And my first question to all of them was, how long have you been on parole? Or how long have you been out on parole? And, like, it was so funny because this one guy goes, man, I feel like you're making fun of me, but I've been out of jail for 6 months. And I was like, oh, fantastic. And so,
you're like, it is a perfect fit.
And it was just cool because you get to, like, put yourself in front of the players. That's the great thing about going to training camp for the spring training for the Rangers is, like, you don't always have that opportunity during the day. Like when we were at nights, it was always when the games were, and now during the day. And, like, you get to say, hey, here's who I am, here's my face, and everything like that. So I was bummed that we didn't get to go, but I did get to have a tense confrontation with DeMarcus Lawrence yesterday, so that was fun.
Wait, what happened?
Oh, it was awesome. But, like, he gave me what I deserved, and I was 100% fine with that. I always call him DeMarcus Lawrence because I was like, when he plays like Tank again, I'll call him Tank again. And so Corey was like, how do you feel about, because we had him on air, and he's like, how do you feel about people who are haters and everything like that? He's like, oh, I love it. It fuels me. And I was like, so I got to tell you something. And I was like, I'm one of those media hating people. And, like, I told him exactly, and he laughed and he goes, so that's how it is, huh? And I go, that's right. And I said, but I'll tell you this, I would love nothing more. I grew up in the Metroplex. I've lived my whole life around here. I would love nothing more than you coming back on in February. And he goes, and when that happens, I'm going to be like, what's my name? And I'm going to be like, damn straight. And I'm here for it. So, like, I never want to say anything on air that I wouldn't say, like, when confronted with it. A couple of years ago, I was bashing Dion in his fake school. And then he called in and, like, we got into it. And, like, that's the thing. I will never say something on air that I don't believe, and never something on air that I won't say when confronted about it.
I appreciate that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, I have to go back and listen to that interview because I was too busy at work. Yeah.
He was great. He was really good.
Because I wanted to listen to it, but yesterday was a very busy day at work. So
we traveled. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
crazy.
Yeah, but definitely, because I love your interviews. Like I love the interview y'all did with Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like first of all, he gives a lot of information, which surprised me because he seems like very shy. Yeah.
My questions, and I was like, oh crap, I wasn't ready for that. And so, we talked with Jane Slater about it afterwards, and a couple of other media people were like, I love Amari Cooper because he processes and listens to every bit of your question and tries to think of like the most coherent answer. So we've been talking about him. We're gonna have a player show this year. We'll have the same player on every single week. And that we kind of are kicking around like who's it gonna be. Last year we had Travis Frederick, and obviously like that's not gonna happen this year.
Yeah.
But like, we talked about Amari Cooper, we've talked about DeMarcus Lawrence, and I would be all about both of them because they were both like super, super good interviews.
Yeah, no, I love the interview. Like, I think he's great. Like, I didn't expect it. Like, I didn't expect him to be so talkative about like just what he's doing. Like,
George, just go ahead and say it. You didn't expect Mark Cooper to be talkative. Period.
I didn't.
Right?
I didn't. Okay.
Like, we thought he was gonna be in a show like this.
Quiet. Yeah.
He's really smart too. He is really smart.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely, if y'all can do that as your interviews this year, that would be amazing. I think that would be great. You would get all the answers to why the Cowboys' offense is either doing really well or not doing so well.
I have to ask better questions too, like better thought out questions. Can't just be like, "Tell me about this," which is like a crutch we all fall on. But like, I would be excited, and like I feel like he would get to learn our personalities. We would get to learn his personalities. And that's always the cool thing about like even doing the video thing. It just feels so much different when like I can see y'all and you can see me as opposed to just doing it over the phone. And so it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like until y'all started, it was until I started following y'all on Twitter that I got you, and so your voice and Corey's voice switched around.
Especially when I was way bigger, people expected me to sound like, hello, everybody. Like, that was big as hell. And so I have obviously like a really high voice. And you know what I choose to say is distinctive, which is actually, it pays off sometimes for me in radio, sometimes not in my personal life, because as you guys can tell, like I have a naturally like aggressive or sarcastic way of talking, which is great because my boss told me once, he goes, oh, I love listening to you talk. You could even say like the most non-confrontational thing and it just really sounds aggressive, like you're in somebody's face. That does not always work in my personal life. When sometimes like I give a compliment, I had someone call me an a-hole once because I was giving them a legitimate compliment and they thought I was being sarcastic, and I was like, no, for real, I really meant that. And they're like, oh, I just thought you were kind of being a jerk about it. I was like, oh, man.
Oh man. All right, wait. I got a crazy question for us. What's the chance you think Mike will sell us one of his Luka Doncic cards?
None.
We had to ask you because.
Oh my god. Okay. Oh my god. I'm so glad you asked that. I hope you had like a good minute for me to.
No, we got time.
Okay, so like. That's one of the cool things is Mike and I have been able to bond over trading cards. And so he brought in his Luka box because I had asked him some stuff here and there, and he had them all in there. And I was like, holy moly, there were so many in there. And like, I always use this number, and I hope people know I'm not exaggerating. He legitimately has 56 of just the Donruss rookie card, which by the way is now up to $200.
I know.
So basically how he keeps his habit going is he sells cards so he can buy new cards. So it's like essentially a zero-sum game. So like his wife doesn't get mad at him or whatever, I assume. But I saw the whole box. It was magnificent. At the time, I was like, holy crap, this is a lot of money. It's probably tripled in value since then. But last week, he lamented. I'm not kidding you. Like he went on and on about how upset he was that he had to sell 3 of his Donruss rookies. He had 56 of them, and he sold 3 of them for $360 total. And he's like, "Well, you see what they are now, right?" And I was like, "Who cares? You paid $3 for those cards." And like I was like, "Why don't you just sell down to 40?" That was my suggestion. Like sell down to a nice round number. So sell 13 of them. You could probably make, $1,500 off of that.
Wow.
And then you can go buy a sweet Luka rookie or, some old 86, 87 Fleer, which is the like Jordan rookie set, Olajuwon, Barkley, Isaiah. That set's freaking insane. But like, he can't bring himself to do it. I bet those cards could be worth $100,000 and he couldn't bring himself to do it. They're like his children. I'm telling you. True.
I would listen to that show. I was like listening to y'all driving. He was like complaining about it. He was like, they're going for like $250 right now. And so I'm like, like, Jordan, I said, we got to ask Kevin. He's like, can we get Mike to sell us one card?
He paid an average of $3 to $5 for those cards. And he sold them at $120, and then he was bitching that they were going for $200. He's like, what the hell are you talking about?
That's awesome.
Tell him if he just wants to sell us one card.
Just tell him we'll pay above market. All right?
Yeah,
man.
I'll pay above market. I just want one.
I'm gonna tweet at him.
You should, but this is how much he loves the Mavericks. I got him to agree to give away one of those Donruss Lucas if we win the series. And and that's like giving away one of his kids. That's how much he cares about them winning this.
Well, you're about to get a very, very good card because the Mavs will win the series. Yeah. Okay, so I got to know, before we wrap up, I have to know, how do you feel about the Dallas Cowboys this year? Everybody's hyping them up with Mike McCarthy coming here. We have some fans still trolling that Dak isn't the guy.
Sure.
I really want to know what you think this year.
I went with 11-5. Count me in on catching the fever. Mm-hmm. Like, the reason why I've caught the fever is not just the 3 wide receivers. Like, I get that. By the way, put some damn respect on Michael Gallup's name.
Nice. 1-3. There we go.
But it's the defense. Like, we talked about it all along. I thought if this defense was average, we would be great. And man, you're hearing from people talking about the lateral movement of Jalen Smith, which I believe in that. You're talking about people that Aldon Smith is ready to make an impact. I'm a little bit more sketchy on that just because it's been 5 years. But I'm telling you, to a man, even Jerry Jones on Friday said this to us, Aldon Smith is looking like he's something. And then when you added Everson Griffin, like, I think they have position to be an average defense. Like, I'm not here to tell you, like, oh, we're going to be top 5 defense in the league. But I'm saying average defense with this offense and new coaching schemes, especially on special teams, man, I think this team's got a chance to make some moves.
I love it. Yeah, see, so I'm one of the people, and you can hate me if you want. I honestly didn't care too much that Byron Jones left because he doesn't really get interceptions, and I know that doesn't make a great corner because I did see him lock up some receivers last year. But at the same time, Cowboys had to move him around and stuff like over his first couple of years because he wasn't very good like his first couple of years.
Well, they drafted him because he was an athlete.
Yeah, he didn't have the holistic talent to be like a really true lockdown corner. That really came out the last couple of years.
But those couple of years, like I don't hate you. Yeah. But those couple of years, man, if you put Byron Jones back on this team with the additions that we made, then I feel great about our secondary. Yeah. And I would say, dare we go above average defense? Yeah, and I think the Dolphins are going to do some things this year. I'm fascinated to see.
Yeah, but I think that what you take from losing Byron Jones and what you added with the pass rush this year is going to be spectacular. And I think that we're finally going to have a Dallas defense where we don't see, a quarterback standing back in the pocket for like 10 seconds getting to just throw to anybody that they want to because we can't get the ball. I think we're actually going to see some guys moving, and we'll have fresh guys because we actually have rotation. Like, we didn't have that on the defensive line last year. We haven't had it in a while where we had true guys that can come in and make a play, like even on the bench. So I think it'll be really good to see this next year. So I'm up on the Cowboys this year. I actually have them going 13-3. I know that's a stretch, but I think that they are going to really surprise some people this year. Dak's going to be an MVP of the league. Jerry Jones is going to open up that wallet, and I have the Cowboys in the Cowboys in the NFC Championship this year. So it'll be good.
Play.
All right,
Buccaneers.
So as always, Jordan just talked over my outro every freaking week. Aaron, this is all Jordan's fault. It's not my fault. It's Jordan's fault. See, I had some questions ready for Kevin for rapid fire, but we can't make this question. So all I'm gonna ask you to do one time is say goodnight, Kevin.
Oh, say goodnight, Kevin.
All right. Thank you guys for listening to Talk That Sports. This is CJ. We're signing off. Hey, arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor, and we're out. Jordan, do the thing.
Yeah, I know.
Do the thing, Jordan.